so next what we're going to do is add in a structural opening. So in this section here, we want to be able to go between one building and the other. So I'm going to show you a couple of different methods that we can do that. The first being we can create a wall opening. The second way, we can edit the actual profile of that wall. So we can cut out a section of the wall. And thirdly, we're going to use the structural opening component. So this is just basically a door itself. So it has the same properties as an actual door. It just doesn't have any frame or door itself. So it's just a blank opening. So the first method that we're going to use is a wall opening tool. So that is in the architecture tab. In the opening panel here, there's our wall. To get a good view of what we're going to be doing, I'm going to place a section view. So I use the section views all the time in the project just to get a quick elevation of what I'm doing. You can also place elevation views if you want, but I just find personally that the section view is a lot quicker, a lot cleaner, and so on. So to place it, it's up here in the quick access panel, and there's our section view. So click to activate it. So to place my section view, I'm going to click once and click again to place. So I started at the bottom and went up. If you go from the top down, the view will be the opposite way. We can obviously flip that. So if you select your section view, you'll see there's our flipping arrow. You can flip the view. As well as that, you see the dashed blue line. That is what will be included in the view. So if I wanted all of these columns to be in the view, then I'd leave it where it is. If I didn't and only wanted just a small section behind, just drag it behind, and now everything behind will not be included in that view. Same goes for the width. As well, I can cycle through the different section heads here and use the grips to extend it out. If the section view is quite long and you didn't want everything to be on display, that little elbow there, we'll cut it in half. You can shorten it down. That's the basics of a section view, so I'm just going to delete out that one. And every time I place a section view, if you come over to the project browser, scroll down, there's our sections heading, expand it, and that's our section 1. So to open up the actual section view, you can either double click on section 1, and there's our section view. You can also double tap on the beak, and again, that's our section view. What we need to do is just expand out this crop view so we can see our view. If you select the rectangle, we get the 4 grips, top, bottom, left, and right, and we can just click and drag. What I can do now is I can have multiple windows open at the same time to see what I'm looking at. What we're looking at on the screen is called a window tile. If I minimize, you'll see I've got 2 currently open. If I open another, so there's 3 different window tiles. But to view all of the different window tiles, if we come again back up to the quick axis, there's our switch windows. So if you click on that, it'll just display what current window tiles are open. If there's too many open, you can select close all window tiles or close hidden windows. If there's too many open, you could have 10, 15, 20 open at once. What you can do is click on the close hidden windows, and that will close all of the other windows apart from the one that's currently open. So the different window tiles that I want to be open on my ground floor, I'll also open the 3D view and the section view. And then to display all of the different window tiles at once, I want to type in WT in the keyboard. That's WT. If the window tile that you want to be displayed isn't on the larger side, what you can do is just select the header at the top and then WT, select the header again, WT. I'll just rotate the views. So what I want is to have the 3D view on the right hand side. So I'm going to just click on the header and just toggle through until it's displayed like so. And then I can zoom in. so that there's the area where I want to place my wall opening. I can zoom in slightly, and again there, my section view, this is the area I want to add my wall opening, and same in the floor plan. Next, I go to the opening panel, select the wall opening. Now let's click on the 3D header there. First, I got to select my wall. So just click on the wall itself. And now I simply have to draw the rectangle on the wall. Again, just placing it anywhere at the moment, so we're not concerned about the height and the width. And there we have our opening. And once it's placed, now I can click on my section view, select the opening. If you can't select the opening first time, just hover over where the edge of the opening is and just click on the tab key once and twice, and you'll see it's now toggling between everything that's around the cursor. That applies to everything. We will use that feature again and again. So now I can select the opening. Once I have the opening selected, I've got my grips that I can just extend out. So that is one method of creating an opening. The downfalls to this, if I go on my ground floor plan, you'll see that the external wall remains open. So what I mean by that is the brickwork doesn't return into the blockwork, or the blockwork doesn't return into the brick. Same below. So there is a small downfall to that. So next, if you just select the opening and delete it, and the next method we're going to do is the edit profile. Well, editing the profile is exactly the same as editing the boundary of our floor. So to do that, we'll just select our wall, and in the contextual tab, there's our edit profile. Select edit profile, and it won't allow me to edit the profile in plan view. It's asking me which view would it like me to go for me to edit the profile. So the best view is the section. So I'll select section 1, open view. And if I zoom out, you'll see there again as our single closed loop. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the opening myself. In the draw panel, I'll use the line tool to select the lower end and give a height of say 2200, attaching to the column and bring it back down. Now you can see in the 3D view there, I have my closed loop, but at the moment these 3 lines are now just an addition. So if I green tick to finish, it'll say cannot complete because of the intersection problems and so on. So I'll click on continue, and I need to delete this lower segment here. So that lower segment there. I'll use the split element tool, split, and it's removed. So there you can see in the 3D view, it's a single closed loop. So I'm going to tick to finish, and there's my opening. Again, if I go to the plan view, again, you can see that the wall itself doesn't return in on itself. So what we need to do is we'll remove that opening. 2 ways: you can either just undo, 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 or go back into the profile editor and delete or withdrawn. Bring it back to be a closed loop. Green tick to finish, and there's our wall back. So the last method I'm going to show you, which is the one we're going to be using, is we're going to use the structural opening tool. So as I said before, the structural opening component is essentially a door. So if we go to our door tool, so again, it's not in the type selector, so we need to bring it in from the library. So we'll go load family, open up the doors folder, and there's a structural subfolder, and there's our door opening. Press open. And the type selector there displays a couple of different variations. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly place it onto the wall, escape. And what we're going to do is we're going to create our own type with our own width and height. So the height will be 2200, but I just got to work out the width. So it's going to go between the top column and lower column. To find out the distance between those two columns, I'm going to use my distance tool, which is the little ruler in the quick access panel. So once I have it turned on, select from one face to the other. And there's my distance of 3 meters. Next, we're going to select the structural opening. We're now going to go to Edit Type. We don't want to change the parameters of this particular type. We want it to remain as it is. So we'll select Duplicate. And first we'll give the width 3000 times 2200. Press OK. And in here in the dimensions panel, we have a rough width, which is 915. So we'll change that to 3000 and the height of 2200. And press OK. And there's our opening. So the last thing to do is just to position it correctly. So I'll use my move tool because that's an accurate move. Select my start point and finish. So in there, that is now my structural opening. And as you can see, the brickwork returns back into the blockwork and the plasterboard again also overlaps. Now in my 3D view, we have the nice opening now between the two sections of the buildings. And we can now close down the section view. And we want to go back to our ground floor plan. So to do that, we can either go double click here or double click the header. We're back into our ground floor plan. We've now finished with the section view here, so we can select it and hit delete on the keyboard. And we're given a warning dialog box, just warnings that we're about to delete a section, and the view in the project browser will also be deleted. So am I sure that I want to do that? Yes, I am. So press OK. And you see the sections are gone now from the project browser. Now we're going to move on to the window component. So beside the door component tool, we have our window component. So again, click to open. In the type selector, we just have one window in the project itself. So what we need to do is go to our load family to bring in more windows. So to know which windows we want to bring in, if you go to PDF 010 Windows. So if we go to load family, scroll down to the end, and there's our Windows folder. It's not important now which kind of window you bring into the project. I'll leave it up to you. The window that I will be using is down below. It's a Windows triple plane. But again, it's not important which window you bring in. Again, if you go to the top, you can just use the arrow keys to scroll down. Look at the preview box on the right-hand side to display the different types of windows. The window that I'll be using is the window triple plane. I'll then press open, and it's now in my type selector. There we have a few variations of the types. And we want to bring in two different types into the project. We have an 1810 by 1210 and a 910 by 1210. 1810 is represented by number 1, and the 910 is represented by number 2. So I'm going to select my 1810 and come down to the bottom half here. So again, like the door, you can see I've got the warning symbol attached to my cursor because a window, like a door, can only be hosted on a wall. So once I hover over a wall, I'll get a preview of where the window will be placed. So a little trick to know where the exterior face on the windowsill of that window is. You can tell that by the temporary dimensions. So if I hover over the wall, having a cursor down the lower half, you can see my temporary dimensions are outside. So I know now that when I place this window, the external face of the window is placed to the external side. If I move my cursor above the wall, the temporary dimensions go inside and my window is incorrect. So just click once to place and zoom in. If you place the window incorrectly, it's not a problem. Just select it and there's our flipping arrow. Once the window's been placed though, the temporary dimensions do go inside the building. So now what I want you to do is to place all of the 1810 windows around the building. Just try and get them as equally spaced as possible. And then afterwards, we'll get the 910s. So I'm not too worried about the positioning of all of your windows, because again, this building won't be built. It's not going to, we don't have to be 100% accurate, as long as I can show you how you can develop and build a model. Okay, so when you have all of your 1810 windows placed, and then move on to the 910 windows. So now we have all of our 910 windows placed. The next stage, like we did with the doors, we're just going to select one, rename it. Again, this will become more apparent when we get to the end of the course. So if we go to our 1810 window, select it. In the properties palette, we're going to go to edit type, select rename, and we'll call it WT-01. And enter. And for the 910, we'll select it, edit type, rename, and it will be WT-02. We've now created the ground floor plan. We've created the outer footpath boundary, the ground floor slab, external walls, the windows, and internal doors, as well as our internal partitions. The next stage of the project, we're going to build up and create the first floor. To get a better view of what we're going to be doing, I'm going to open up my 3D view. So up the top here, the quick access panel, selecting the 3D house to open up my 3D view. As well, to demonstrate the increase in height, I'm also going to open up an elevation view. So anyone for now. When the east elevation opens, I'm going to reposition my level. So I'll select one of my levels, zoom in, grabbing the open grip and dragging it to the side. So I want all three of my views to be open simultaneously. So what I'm going to do is use my window tile feature by simply typing in WT in the keyboard. So here we have our east elevation, our 3D view, and our ground floor plan. So I want my 3D view to be on the larger side. So to rotate my views, I'll select the heading, WT. If the view you want isn't in the correct location, again, just selecting the heading and WT. So there's my 3D view, I have my ground floor plan, and my east elevation. So I want to work on my 3D view as it will be easier to demonstrate what I'm about to do. When we drew our external walls on the ground floor plan, there was constraints attached to them. So if I was to select one, come to my properties palette on the left-hand side, you'll see there my base constraint is ground floor, and my top constraint is first floor level. So my wall, when I place it, started on the ground floor and came up to the first floor level. So you can also see here in the elevation view, it's attached to the ground floor level and is brought up and is now attached to the first floor level. What we're going to do is select one side of the building to increase the height up to the roof level, while maintaining the left-hand side of the building down to first floor level. To select the ground floor walls, we'll select one. You can hold down the Control key and then select each one of the walls individually, or we can do a quick select. How we do that is we'll hover over one of the walls. It'll become highlighted in blue. We'll then click once on the Tab key. That will then highlight all of the external walls that are joined together. But at the moment, they're simply highlighted. They aren't selected yet. To finally select them, one left click on the mouse, and those walls are now selected. You can see in the 3D view, they're all selected, the ground floor plan, as well as the east elevation. Now we're going to increase the height from our first floor up to the roof level simply by changing our top constraint. Now that they are all selected, we'll go over to the properties palette, come down to our top constraint, click on the drop down arrow and change up to 03 roof. Any changes we make in the properties palette will not take effect until we either click on apply or simply move our cursor inside the drawing space. There we see that the constraint has now been increased up to the roof level.